This was America's Gilded Age, a time when fortunes were built overnight, and dreams came with a price tag most could never pay. For the wealthy, it was a golden parade. For everyone else, it was a fight to breathe, to eat, to simply survive another day. But here's the twist. Hidden inside these struggles were seeds of change. Ordinary people, immigrants, factory girls, coal miners, started movements that would shape the rights we take for granted today. So let's step back in time together, not just to see what life was like, but to understand how you, yes you, might have survived, or maybe even sparked a revolution in the Gilded Age. 1. From glittering mansions to cramped tenements. Picture this. It's the same city, the same hour, but two entirely different worlds. In Newport, Rhode Island, a Vanderbilt summer cottage sprawls over 125,000 square feet, with marble imported from Italy and gold leaf ceilings so bright they make you squint. The ballroom alone could fit an entire city block of tenement apartments. Now step just a train ride away into the heart of New York's Lower East Side. Here, 8 people squeeze into a single room the size of that Vanderbilt ballroom's coat closet. A bucket in the corner serves as the toilet. The air is thick with coal smoke, damp laundry, and the ever-present smell of too many people packed into too little space. This contrast wasn't just about comfort. It shaped the very way people saw the world. The wealthy believed poverty was a personal failing. The poor saw wealth as a fortress they could never storm. But here's the lesson worth remembering. Proximity doesn't equal connection. You can live in the same city, even share the same street, and still inhabit separate universes. If you were alive then, survival meant understanding both worlds, knowing the language of the rich to navigate opportunity, and the resilience of the poor to withstand hardship. That double vision was rare, but powerful. And in the factories where most of the poor worked, that resilience would be tested to its limit. Because in the Gilded Age, making a living often meant gambling with your life. Number 2, factories, fortune, and the human cost. Step inside a textile mill in 1885. The air is heavy with cotton dust, fine enough to coat your tongue and lodge deep in your lungs. Machines roar so loudly you can't hear your own thoughts. 12 hours on your feet, 6 days a week, for $2.50. And if you lose a finger or collapse from exhaustion, there's a line of desperate men, women, and even children ready to take your place by morning. For children, the danger was doubled. Imagine being 11 years old, small enough to squeeze between moving belts to untangle a jam, knowing one wrong move could end your life. In the coal mines, breaker boys spent their days hunched over chutes, separating rocks from coal, breathing dust that would scar their lungs forever. Many never lived past 40. Here's the cruel irony. The very people who built America's industrial wealth could never afford the products they made. The rich dressed in silk spun in these mills. The poor wore rags, patched so many times they barely held together. The lesson? Progress, without compassion, becomes exploitation. And in the Gilded Age, that gap between invention and humanity only widened. Until some people decided they'd had enough. Number 3, the birth of resistance. By the late 19th century, the workers' patience snapped. Strikes erupted across the nation. Steel workers in Homestead, miners in Pennsylvania, railway workers from Chicago to California. They faced not just their employers, but private armies like the Pinkertons, and police forces ready to swing batons without warning. Yet even under threat, movements grew. Women like Elizabeth Blackwell brought medical care into the tenements. Jane Addams founded settlement houses, teaching skills, offering childcare, and giving the poor a foothold toward something better. This wasn't charity, it was strategy. They understood that survival meant building networks, finding allies, and learning to speak in a voice too loud to ignore. And in time, that voice began to change the law. Shorter workdays, child labor protections, workplace safety regulations. The Gilded Age didn't hand these rights over. They were wrestled, inch by inch, from a system built to resist them. Number 4, lessons from the Gilded Age. If you time traveled back to 1890, The first thing you'd notice isn't just the dirt and the noise, it's the extremes. People lived either in towering wealth or crushing poverty, with almost nothing in between. And that tension still echoes today. The real takeaway? Every comfort we enjoy now, weekends, workplace safety, public health, exists because ordinary people refuse to stay silent. The Gilded Age shows us that change doesn't come from waiting for better leaders. It comes from becoming them. So, if you found yourself in that era, armed with modern knowledge, your survival wouldn't depend on money alone. It would depend on your ability to organize, adapt, and see the power in standing together. The Gilded Age was a test of endurance, courage, and vision. And here's the thing. History isn't just something we read in books. It's a mirror showing us who we might become if we face the same struggles. Subscribe now, and let's keep this time travel survival guide going.